Madam Vice Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, graduands, and guests and family, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you today our honorary degree recipient, Jane Urquhart. Many of you may have read at least one of the novels written by Jane Urquhart, and if not, you will probably have heard of her. She is the award-winning author of 8 novels, as well as 3 books of poetry and many short stories. Her very first novel, Whirlpool, was published in 1986, and its French translation under the title Niagara won the prestigious Prix du meilleur livre étranger in France. That was only the beginning of the impressive list of honors and awards that Ms. Urquhart has received since then. The Trillium Award for Away followed in 1993, and this novel was also a finalist for the Impact Dublin Literary Award. The Underpainter won the Governor General's Award in 1997, and The Stone Carvers was a finalist for the Governor General Award, the Giller Prize, and Britain's Booker Prize. Ms. Urquhart is also an officer of the Order of Canada, as well as a Chevalier dans l'Ordre des Arts et des Lettres in France, both very high distinctions in these countries. I could go on like this for quite a while, but it seems to me that I should also take a few minutes to say a few words about what makes her work so popular with the public, the critics, and the juries of literary awards and prizes. Urquhart's writing is distinctive in many ways. She intertwines historical fact with fictional storylines, leading the reader to find herself or himself somewhere between the historical past, the present, and a world that lies somewhere between reality and dream. This may have something to do with the use of magical realism, or perhaps what might better be called just simply the magical in her works. Deceased characters communicate with living characters, suggesting the continuity in life and death, an ongoing connection between people beyond the material world, and the spirituality that is a part of so many storytelling traditions, including the Irish one, which is so close to Urquhart's heart. Urquhart's novels are also notable in the way that she draws art into her stories. This is perhaps not surprising, given that she has a bachelor's degree in art history, as well as one in English, and that she is married to the artist Tony Urquhart, also being honored here today. Urquhart has an uncanny way of using words, sentences, rhythms, and silences in such a way that the reader can visualize works of art. Her most recently published novel, The Night Stages, which came out only last year, tells the story of a retired female war pilot who is stuck in Gander, Newfoundland because of the fog. In typical Urquhart style, a mural in the Gander airport captures the attention of Tamara, the pilot, and in a parallel fictional storyline, readers are presented with an account of the artist's inspiration, his techniques, and his romantic getaway in Italy. The artist being referred to is Canada's Kenneth Lougheed, who is indeed well known for his mural, Flight and its Allegories, which does actually hang in the Gander airport. But what matters more here is that even for those of us who have not seen this painting, Urquhart actually paints it with words so that her readers can imagine it in their mind's eye. Finally, one of the other traits that particularly enchants me as a reader of Urquhart's works are her depictions of Ireland, Irish immigration, Irish history, and most significantly, Irish storytelling. I hope these highlights might give you just enough of a taste that you will pick up one of Urquhart's novels the next time you are in the library, and that you will think about how you are reading a book written by one of Carleton's illustrious alumni. Her rich and evocative writing helps us to understand the place of art and literature in this world, and we are very fortunate to now be able to count her as a member of the Carleton community. Madam Chancellor, in recognition of her extraordinary talent and success as an author, enriching Canada's literary canon and the lives of her readers, I request that you confer the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, upon Jane Urquhart.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Faculty Senate and the Board of Governors, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto pertaining. Dr. Urquhart, welcome to the Carleton community. Thank you.
Hello and congratulations to everyone, to all the graduands and all of the parents and friends and everyone in the room, and to my extremely wonderful fellow honorees up here. Madam Vice Chancellor, Chair of the Board, graduands, and honored guests, it is a great pleasure to receive this honor from Carleton University. I can tell that this is a university filled with energy and purpose. You can feel it in this room, and you can feel it in the hallways when you wander around. I have been here on many occasions. I've been interviewed by your radio station. It's all been wonderful. However, I must say that I have a complicated relationship with great public events, such as the one at which I am gratified to be speaking today. When I was first asked to appear live on CBC radio about 30 years ago now, and my then idea of a great public event, I spent the previous night imagining all the things that could go wrong. I could lose my voice. I could lose my vocabulary. I could lose my place if I was asked to read from my book, or I could simply lose my mind. As it turned out, however, none of these things happened, except possibly the last. Instead, live on air, I got the hiccups. After that, I learned to expect the unexpected, but who among us could have predicted this sinkhole? I know the cosmos has a tendency to turn against me at times such as these, but a sinkhole seems extreme, even to me. However, the disasters continued. A few years after the CBC debacle, in this very town, I was asked to speak at an important gathering. The conference was entitled Technology and the Arts and was taking place at the National Arts Centre. The proposal for my part of the conference, as I discovered with horror when I learned of it for the first time a day or so before my departure for Ottawa, was that I should have an on-stage conversation with the great European and American mathematician, scientist, and inventor of the term fractal, Benoit Mandelbrot. This, in spite of the fact that I had never achieved a high school mark higher than a D in either math or science and had given up both subjects altogether at university. I would be seated on stage in the customary faux leather armchair, I was told, and he would be electronically beamed in from Belgium, where he happened to be, thereby proving that the arts, sciences, and technology could enhance and inform one another. This was a long time ago, I have to say, like over 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, and all this beaming, therefore, was considered to be an act of pure magic. I was terrified and spent the evening before what I anticipated as my career-stopping humiliation, desperately thumbing through Mandelbrot's fractal geometry of nature, understanding just enough of it to know that it was engaging and brilliant and increasing my anxiety still further. I fully expected to lose my voice and knew for certain I would get the hiccups. Were hiccups fractal in nature, I wondered? Would they just go on reproducing themselves forever in floral patterns? I was comforted a little by telling myself that I could always read aloud from one of my books if I could think of nothing intelligent to say, and tucked a volume in my purse before bravely venturing across the street to the National Arts Centre. After I was introduced, I sat in the faux leather armchair as if awaiting execution, while the head of Benoit B. Mandelbrot loomed into focus on a huge screen at the back of the stage. It was like a scene from The Wizard of Oz. I fully expected him to say, "I am Oz, the great and terrible," to which I could have authentically replied, "I am Jane, the meek and humble." Instead, after he was introduced, he said, "Good morning, Miss Urquhart." And I said, "Good morning, Professor Mandelbrot." And then the whole technological system of beaming broke down completely, and Benoit Mandelbrot completely disappeared, leaving me utterly alone on a stage in a theater filled with 2,000 people. So much, I thought, for technology and the arts. I almost got the hiccups, but instead I pulled out the book that I had stuck in my bag. After explaining to the mostly technologically inclined crowd that this thing in my hand was called a book, that it was a bunch of papers sewn together on the left side so that one could read it from left to right, and that one could turn pages one by one, and that unlike the beamed image of Benoit B. Mandelbrot, it was still here with me on stage, I began to read aloud. Yes, it was my own book, and yes, I was therefore familiar with the text, but there was something about reading aloud to that dark and breathing space full of sentient beings that was calming and comforting. I'm not suggesting that I converted a room full of people to anything at all, or that there weren't a significant number of people there, including me, actually, in spite of my relief, who weren't disappointed by the disappearance of Professor Mandelbrot. The reading wasn't against technology or mathematics. In fact, I was mic'd, which meant that my own small art was already being enhanced by technology. But there was something both ancient and moving about the feel of the paper in my hands, the slow turn of the page, and something even more ancient and moving about the sound of my own live voice and the rhythms that a human voice naturally takes. A pattern, if you will, albeit an irregular one, and fractal, I concluded, in nature. Mandelbrot himself, who unfortunately I never met in person, he died in 2012, would, I think, have appreciated what I'm going to say next. As I continued to read, I recalled that Mandelbrot had defined the fractal as a repeating pattern that displays at every scale. I recalled how this could apply to coastlines, clouds, river systems, white noise, to Japanese drawings and prints, and to the stock market. In other words, this one theory combined mathematics, science, geography, meteorology, visual art, and all of the things, and of all things, economics. Though Mandelbrot was not there with me, I was aware that by reading and being rhythmic in my reading, and by the repetition of thematic material in my work, that I was standing proof of his theory. One is supposed to deliver advice at Convocation, something I feel that I am entirely unqualified to do. However, I learned two things the day Mandelbrot disappeared. One was go towards that which you fear, that which intimidates and frightens you, because there is a lot to be learned in that arena. And the second is that all those who are seeking the extraordinary in the world are united. And that means authors, artists, mathematicians, economics, scientists, geographers, and everybody here today. So I'd like to offer once again my warmest congratulations, and I hope you all have lives filled with curiosity. Thank you so much.